episode of the Microsoft 365 and AI series. I'm going to be showing you an exciting feature that Microsoft just rolled out into the Copilot Premium experience. My name is Doka, and I'm the host for the Microsoft 365 and AI series. If you have the Teams Phones license and you also have the Copilot Premium license, there is a new personal assistant that's been enabled for you within your Teams phone that will allow you to have an assistant that manages your calls. You can think about this like a secretary that intercepts a person's call, their boss's call, holds a conversation with somebody, and then decides based off that conversation what is going to happen next. Are they going to schedule a meeting? Are they going to hand consult and transfer the call over to the person, the boss, right? Now everybody is going to have that kind of experience with the Copilot Premium license and the Teams phone enabled. So without further ado, let me show you this feature and how to enable it. This feature is called the Personal Attendant feature in Teams. Now the way you're going to get through to this to enable it for the first time is to go to settings. So when you go to settings, you would land on this view. So the settings is the ellipsis beside your picture, and you land on a view like this. Now, you find your settings from the ellipsis beside your picture in Teams at the top right corner of your screen. Now, once you have that, you can now you scroll down to where you have calls. Now, once you open calls and you have Teams phone license and you also have the Copilot Premium license, you would have a view like what I have here. So let's go ahead to enable the settings that are required. The first of all, for you to be able to enable this personal assistant, to be able to work for you on your behalf and manage your calls and also manage the scheduling of calls and also like help you to summarize your voicemails, there's some configurations that are necessary. So please take your time to go through this video step by step to know what each of those configurations mean and how they are going to benefit you. Next, now we're going to be starting by clicking on Manage. We're starting off this configuration journey by clicking on Manage. Now, once you click on Manage, please enable this. If it's toggled off for you, you're going to have a view like this. Turn it on. Now, once you turn on your view, you are going to start to make some configurations that we'll work through together. Let's start from the call screening. We have two configurations that we are enabling here. The first one is for the internal calls and the second one is for external calls. First, you want to decide how your personal assistant should manage and intercept your internal calls and external calls based off what you want. There are two options that exist here. You can either make it to automatically screen all the calls that come to you. What happens in this sense is when somebody calls you, it's going to be picked up by this personal attendant. The personal attendant would intercept your calls, so all the calls will be routed to your personal attendant automatically, and then it will have a conversation with the person, and based on the conversation that they are having together, it will make a decision to either consult you and transfer the call to you, or it's going to schedule a meeting for you and the person based off the configurations that you've enabled also. So we're going to go this step by step. There are a couple of things we need to enable. So now you can either select any of this. I selected Let Me Decide. So what Let Me Decide does is every time a call comes into your Teams environment, you get a notification pop up, and then you have the option to route that call to your personal attendant. Let's say you have preoccupied in a meeting, somebody is calling you, you want the person to be able to drop information and allow your personal attendant to determine what the next line of action will be, then you can also just use the Let Me Decide each time. So the two options apply for both internal and external calls. Choose what works best for you. Now, for this to happen, all your calls are going to be screened depending on the choices that you make here, all of them. If you choose the automatic one, all your calls will be screened depending on the choice that you make. Automatic would be done automatically. Let Me Decide each time, all the calls will be routed to you, but you also have the option to reroute it back to your personal attendant. So this goes to say that there might be important people, very delicate conversations and communications that you want, calls, people that you put in your high priority list, right? And you want to exempt them from this screening. So you can do that by clicking on the edit sign that is here. And once you click on that, it's going to open this window for you. Here, you're going to type the name of the person in this bar from your organization, and it will pop up, and then you can select the person's name, just like that. Now, once you're done, let's take it back again to calls to enable the rest of the settings. So we've enabled these settings. Next up is the notifications. Now, what this does, if you turn this off, when your calls are intercepted by your personal attendant, you're going to get like a sidebar pop-up notification that tells you a call has been intercepted, or somebody called you and your personal attendant has picked up that call. So you can turn this on or off depending on what you want. Hold on. Then so now you have your skills. So you can enable this particular feature to prevent spam calls. The next one is the scheduling of follow-ups. Remember that I said that this personal attendant can intercept your calls, or you can relegate your calls to this personal attendant, and then it can do actions like scheduling time in your calendar. But there are some settings that you need to enable first before it can do that. And all those settings are under manage. So you click on manage. And when you click on manage, you may have this toggle for you. Please toggle it on, and let's go ahead to configure all the settings that are required. The first one is the duration of the meeting. What's the default duration that you want this agent to schedule the meetings that are as a result of the conversations that it has with people and the calls that it receives on your behalf? So you define that you can have 15, 30 minutes, 45, 1 hour. Now, if you're familiar with bookings, most of the functionalities that are here are similar to the functionalities in the Microsoft Bookings app. Next up is also to define how soon, from the time of this call to now, how soon do you want the personal attendant to look into your calendar and pick an open slot? Do you want it to be that if there is an open slot in the next 1 hour, it could pick it? Or do you want it to probably stretch it further and look in 8 hours, 12 hours, 1 day, or 2 days? Depending on your preference, you can select any of the options. Now, the next one really speaks to how far in your calendar should it look. So the expanse of time it can look at to look for your availability to schedule the time. So you can schedule that for 30 days. So if you set like 30 days, your personal attendant has the option of looking up to 30 days for available slot for you and scheduling a time. So you can select the one that works for you. Then we come to the last option. Like I said, if you're very familiar with bookings, the features that you have here are very similar to what you have within bookings when you're setting up your bookings page. So this available hours basically allows you to define the time slots that are open for this personal attendant to be able to book time on each day. So now you can either use your work hours, but if you're using your work hours, please do well to configure your settings on your calendar and define your work hours appropriately, because that is exactly what it's going to be using to manage this use work hours. So I've already defined my work hours, and I've already selected my accurate time zone. So make sure that you do that. I'm going to put up another video that will help you to see how to enable that in case you have any challenge in enabling that. Now, the other option is using custom hours. Yes, you work 9 to 5, but there are specific time slots that you want to make available for your personal attendant to be able to pick openings and schedule meetings with people that call you. This is the option that you have. You can select for each day, and you can disable any day that you don't want it to look into. You can also define the duration that is open to the attendant. So if I have, for example, as my settings, my attendant is going to be able to only allocate schedule meetings on Fridays between 12 and 3, right? Because I've disabled every other day, right? So I'm going to enable all of them. So you can select customized time slots based off your availability that you want the personal attendant to use in scheduling time when people have conversations that lead to the scheduling of time. Finish all the settings that are required in this window. There's still some settings that we need to configure, so just take it a step back and click on manage personal attendant at the top. So scroll down and let's do the rest. When these conversations are being had between your personal attendant and the person that called you, those conversations are not going to be transcribed or recorded automatically until you enable this particular button here. So you have to save transcriptions and recording for all screen calls. You have to enable this. Then to the very last setting on this particular manage page, we have the customized personal attendant. This particular setting basically allows you to define the language that you want your personal attendant to use. So if you want to select French, Dutch, Spanish, Arabic, whatever language it is that is within the list that we have here in this catalog, you can select them. And your personal attendant will use that language to greet people. Now let's go to the very next setting, and this is the last one that you're going to have to enable for configuring this particular Copilot personal attendant. Now, right under the Manage Personal Attendant section, we have the call handling and forwarding. This is where you determine the ringtone for calls that are forwarded to you from your personal attendant. You can also just define this here. Select from the list of ringtones that you have and make it customized to yourself. So these are all the settings that we have that we would use to enable our personal attendant. And once you've enabled these settings, you're automatically going to have a personal attendant that works for you in Teams, that helps you in managing your calls, answering them, routing them to the right channels, either to scheduling a meeting or rerouting it back to you for continuous conversation. I hope this helps you to transform your workflow, and see you again in the next episode where I'll be showing you how to enable your work hours in case you do not know how to enable it. So bye, and see you in the next episode.